Hello, welcome to class this month, Frenemies.
Welcome to OnlinePilatesClasses.com, the most supportive Pilates-loving community across the globe. Enjoy new weekly classes from our amazing teachers. Download the OnlinePilatesClasses.com app today.
So in this month's class, we're really focusing on the strength and the stretch of everything, as we always do, but like thinking about it in a way that like your frenemy, you keep close, but you don't want to be that close. And if you read the email that we sent out, Christine was talking about how like it would be so easy for her just to like kind of like fold up and like look like she's doing exercise versus actually doing exercise. So on the chair, I'm going to talk about like what's the strong part for what's the stretching or the moving part. Okay. So we'll start with one top spring, one bottom spring. By the way, whenever I do a top bottom or any spring setting, you are free to interpret that however you want, because you want this spring to be a frenemy. You want it to be, actually, you want it to be like a best friend versus a frenemy. You want the spring to support you and not push you around, right? So this is not a bully. And it's not a fake friend. It's a true supportive friend. Okay. So right here, what we're going to do is we're going to sit up nice and tall. Let's put our hands on the side of the chair for now, and then heels together, toes apart. When you press down, notice what turns on the back of your legs, and then see if you can keep that on as the legs come up. And why that's important is I don't want you to collapse into your legs or your legs get pushed into you. We want to create space. Now, whenever I say space, internal space is what we're thinking, because external space may not be what is physically representing in itself based on all of our body types. Okay. I have legs for a 6 foot tall person. The amount of space I can create here is very different than someone who has a longer torso and shorter legs. Or if you have belly abundance or thigh abundance or something like that, you might not be able to physically make the space happen, but the internal space is what matters. Okay. So as I push down, I can feel my outer hips, hamstrings, glutes turn on, and then my low belly turns on. So I feel this inner pull up, right? And then I try to keep all that as the pedal comes up. So I know we did a bunch. We're going to do 3 more. Trying to keep that inner lift in mind, and then go on to your arches. Now, this is where it gets a little bit trickier because now our legs are parallel and together. So we're going to push down and lift up. So you really are pushing down to lift up. You're gathering up the strength so that when you stretch your hips to close-ish the spring won't close all the way. You are trying to keep all of that inner lift happening. Last time, and then on to your heels. Squeeze everything together. Hug the legs together, hug the outer hips together. And if you, by the way, you can always put a block here, especially if you like to create that kind of space. I know for myself, I don't actually like my knees to touch when I'm sleeping. So sometimes I'm like, if I just put a pad here, it'd probably make my life happier. All right, go back onto those toes. Push into the pedal to get some strength. And then from that strength, stretch the leg out and then pump the pedal 5 times. Put the foot down. From the strength of the leg, pushing into the pedal, switch it out so that we're not just gripping from up here. We got this working for us too. And then come all the way in. Okay, go onto your arches and round. We're not going to go into a full tendon stretch yet, but I want you to prepare with what we just did. So that feeling, that lift on the inside, trying to lift up here as your hands pull this chair apart and then your legs reach down. So whether or not you have space between your legs and your chest doesn't really matter to me. What matters to me is that you can feel the strength of your legs hugging and reaching so that your stomach has the ability to lift internally to the ceiling. And just breathe into this. Reach down to the heels, lift up through the ribs for 3, 2, not lifting the pedal yet. 1, bend the knees, lift the pedal. Either lie all the way back down here, which is harder, or spin around to the side, easier. Let's do your 100. So legs can be as high as you need. Inhale and exhale. Do a test, little check-in with your eyes. Look at your feet. Make sure that your both legs are turned out the same amount. Look at the knees. Double check that nothing is hyperextended. Look at the outer hips. They're hugging in. And we're pulling the waist into the chair so that we can create the strength around our center so that our arms can pump. The arms should feel free to pump. And if they don't, if that means you feel like you lose your chest curl or your leg height, then we've lost the strength of our center. So we don't have that frenemy thing happening. And woo, roll all the way up. Holy moly. Okay. So now from that same strength that you just pulled in to the chair to do your 100, you're going to use that similar feeling to do your tendon stretch. What? Isn't that crazy? They can be both. It can be the same muscles that pull into a chair that pull up to the sky. So here we go. If you're on the shorter side, you may want a little pad or block underneath your pedal. Pull the chair apart. And then again, we're reaching our thighs one way to lift our center the other way so that we've got that frenemy thing happening as we lower and lift this pedal 5 times. So what is lifting the pedal is not your tailbone, but your center. Go ahead and take your hand and place it where your low ribs are on your back. That is what's lifting and getting wider to the ceiling. The tailbone, you can take your hand there, is reaching down. Okay, so it's not a tuck, it's just actually reaching down towards your heels. That's where your heels are. So we want to breathe into our hand that is behind our back. Feel that, and that's going to help us reach our tailbone down. So again, arches on the pedal, legs hugging. Find that height of the lowest ribs as you pull the chair wide. Why are we pulling the chair wide? This way your shoulders are out of your ears, because we do not need our shoulders and our ears to be friends. They are also frenemies. Wonderful. Come all the way off. Let's get you off those hands. All right. Turn and face the chair. Heels together, toes apart. Place one foot on the pedal. So we're going to do our ab series in just a second. Before we do that, I want us to do our press downs because there's so much ab series in them. So you have one leg reaching, one foot on the pedal, heel up, push it down, and it comes up. So this leg coming into you is your single leg stretch, okay? What it's not doing is hiking the hip up to come up, right? So we're picking the pedal up, but the pelvis is staying square, right? So we have the strength of our standing leg in our center so that the stretch can happen through that hip. 2 more. Hold it down on this last one. Lower the heel, lift the heel, lift the pedal. Push the pedal down, lower the heel, lift the pedal. And again, reach and reach and reach. Good. Just 3 of those. Place the foot down and switch sides. So other foot on, and we go down and up. And your sides will be different. So you might have one side where it's easier to be the strong standing leg, and the other side where it's like, just, it's like, it's not a friend over here. It's not being a friend of me at all. It's not being helpful. And in that case, I kind of like to use my hands to help guide my hip where I want it to be. So someday it goes there, and then press it down, lower the heel, lift the pedal, and reach. So single leg stretch, right? Double leg stretch was the footwork. This is, if both legs could do this at the same time, that'd be double leg stretch. All right, so now we'll turn out, heels together, toes apart, turn to the side. So double leg stretch, double straight leg stretch, have this nice little crisscross, right? So we have this outer hip turn out. So you'll have your nice, your inner thigh is up. And again, we press down. When we're down here, this isn't really the goal. The goal isn't to touch the floor. The goal is to see how high we can lift the pedal while creating space here. Now, again, the outward physical space is not what we're looking for. It's the inward structural space. Can my hip bone stay away from my rib cage as my femur goes up? If you think of your things as a skeleton, it really helps us remove the outer exterior of what we see and focus internally on what these bones are doing. Guess what how the bones are doing that? It's from your muscles. What? Isn't science fun? All right, go ahead and take that inner foot off, place it parallel to the chair, take the outer hip, cross the foot over, and then stretch this hip out, push the pedal down. So hugging the inner hip, my inside hip in, so I'll hang out here, and then push the pedal down and up. Just working the pedal in both directions. again, with my hand on the back of my hip here to keep my hip squared off. Sometimes if I can't do something yet with the bones, I